In the history of criminal justice, there are many mysterious crimes that have never been solved. These cases are always surrounded by riddles and strange clues that were often discovered completely by accident, yet led to no result. Today we will tell you about two such cases. A pile of evidence, but not a single suspect. Who killed the family from Setagaya but was never caught? The Setagaya family murder refers to the murder of the Miyazawa family, committed in the Setagaya ward of Tokyo on December 30, 2000. Mikio Miyazawa, Yasuko Miyazawa, Nina Miyazawa, and Rei Miyazawa were killed during a night invasion of their home by an unknown criminal who spent several hours there before disappearing. The Japanese police launched a massive investigation, during which the killer's DNA and many clear clues were identified, but the identity of the criminal has never been established. Due to the wide media coverage and the prolonged investigation, in 2010, society even began discussing the possibility of abolishing the statute of limitations for crimes. The Miyazawa family house was located in a picturesque part of the city on the edge of a public park. Hectares of park zones alternated with tennis courts, playgrounds, and skate parks for teenagers. In the early 90s, about 200 houses were built between the park and the Sen River. Over the next 10 years, despite the irreversible expansion of the urban zone, these houses were bought by the municipality and turned into parks. By the year 2000, only 4 houses remained. On December 31, 2000, the bodies of 44-year-old Mikio Miyazawa, his 41-year-old wife Yasuko, and their children, 8-year-old Nina and 6-year-old Rei, were discovered by Yasuko's mother, Haruko, in their home in Setagaya, Tokyo. Mikio, Yasuko, and Nina were stabbed, and Rei was strangled. The crime scene investigation by the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department showed that the family was killed on December 30 around 11:30 p.m. Tokyo time, after which the killer remained in the house for several more hours. The killer of the Miyazawa family entered through an open bathroom window on the second floor at the back of the house, facing Sashigaya Park. To do this, he climbed a tree and removed the window screen. Then, with his bare hands, he strangled Rei, who was sleeping in his room on the second floor. It was established that the cause of the boy's death was asphyxia. Hearing the noise, Mikio rushed to the stairs leading to the second floor, attacked the killer and wounded him, but was killed with a sashimi bocho knife. This is a long, thin knife used in Japanese cuisine for preparing sashimi. According to the police report, a part of the sashimi knife blade broke off and remained inside Mikio's head. The killer attacked Yasuko and Nina with the broken knife until he took a santoku knife from the kitchen, a universal kitchen knife made in Japan. Its blade length is usually between 13 and 20 centimeters. The blade of such a knife is flat and curves down at an angle of almost 60 degrees. He used this knife to kill them. The killer stayed in the house for anywhere from 2 to 10 hours. During this time, he used the owner's computer, drank barley tea, ate a melon and 4 ice creams he took from the refrigerator, used the toilet, treated his wounds using a first aid kit and various hygiene products, and even slept on the sofa in the living room on the second floor. A check of Mikio Miyazawa's computer showed that it was connected to the internet at 1:18 a.m., after the murders had been committed. The killer visited a theater website and tried to buy tickets online, and then again at 10:05 a.m. visited Mikio's company website and the school where Yasuko worked. Around the same time, Yasuko's mother, Haruko, entered the house and discovered the bodies. Haruko, who lived next door, suspected something was wrong when she could not reach her daughter. The killer had disconnected the phone. She went to their house, but when she rang the doorbell, no one answered. One of the questions the police did not need to search for an answer to was what the killer was wearing that night. For some strange reason, he took off his clothes and neatly folded them. He also left his shoes, bag, hat, scarf, jacket, and gloves in the house. Judging by the size, he was approximately 170 centimeters tall. He dressed in the style of young Tokyo skaters of that time, like those who came to the skate park behind their house. The police were able to establish many distinctive features of the criminal's identity, but could not arrest anyone or press charges. The results of the analysis of the killer's feces left in the house's toilet showed that the killer had eaten string beans and sesame seeds the day before. It was established that the clothes and the sashimi knife left by the killer in the house were bought in Kanagawa Prefecture. The police also found out that only 130 units of the same sweater the killer wore were made and sold, but they could only track down 12 buyers. A team of investigators was assembled for the investigation, which became one of the largest in Japanese history. Over 246,000 investigators collected 12,545 pieces of evidence. As of 2015, 40 officers are still working on this case on a full-time basis. Every year, the Tokyo Police Department holds memorial ceremonies near the house of the murdered family. The Tokyo Police Department currently offers a reward of 20 million yen to anyone who can help the police find evidence leading to a suspect or solving the case. Tokyo police took fingerprints and collected DNA samples of the killer in the Miyazawa house but found no matches in the database, which means the killer has no criminal record. Analysis of the killer's blood collected at the crime scene showed that it belongs to type A, therefore, it was definitely not the blood of the Miyazawa family members. DNA analysis of the type A blood determined that the killer is male and possibly of mixed origin, with his mother potentially having European ancestry. Perhaps she was from a southern European country located on the shores of the Mediterranean or Adriatic Sea. The paternal DNA points to East Asian origin. Analysis of the Y chromosome showed that the killer had the haplogroup OM122, common among East Asian peoples. It is found in 1 in 4 or 5 Koreans, 1 in 10 Chinese, and 1 in 13 Japanese. As a result, the Tokyo police asked Interpol for help, as the killer might not have been Japanese and might not reside in Japan. There were rumors that Mikio had repeated conflicts with skaters who constantly hung out in the park behind his house. It cannot be ruled out that one of them decided to take revenge on him by committing petty vandalism or theft, but perhaps things did not go as he planned. It is believed that the killer was about 170 centimeters tall and of a thin build. Police estimate the killer was born between 1965 and 1985. That is, at the time of the crime, he was between 15 and 35 years old. Because physical strength was required to enter the Miyazawa family home and kill its members. The wounds of the family members indicate that the killer was likely right-handed. Despite a pile of evidence, the killer was never caught. 40-year-old Diana Louise Augat went missing on April 10, 1998. 4 days later, she left a message on her mother's answering machine, begging for help. A day later, the severed tip of her right middle finger was found on Highway 19. What happened to Diana? American Diana Louise Augat was a 40-year-old mother of 3 children and lived in the small town of Odessa, Florida. Until about the age of 30, she was the happy wife of a man named Frederick and a loving mother to 1 son and 2 daughters. She loved to draw, go camping, fish, go boating, and listen to music. When Diana was about 30, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This is a mental illness that causes extreme mood swings from crushing depression to emotional outbursts. Diana often forgot to take her medication, which caused her to have fits of hysteria and rage more frequently. As a result, custody of her children was taken away in 1988. And Frederick divorced her in 1991. She finally hit rock bottom and became addicted to substances and alcohol. By April 1998, she was already an alcoholic and had been admitted to a psychiatric hospital 32 times. The last time was just a few weeks before her disappearance. When she was discharged, she moved in with her sister Deborah in the town of Hudson, about 32 kilometers northwest of Odessa. Deborah last saw her sister at 11 a.m. on April 10, 1998, when she went to a doctor's appointment. But she did not return home by evening nor the next day. Diana was seen the same day at the Hayloft pub, about 5 kilometers from Deborah's house. But the bartender asked her to leave because she was behaving inappropriately. On April 11, around 4 p.m., a driver saw Diana walking alone along the shoulder of Highway 19, heading north. On April 14, a waitress saw Diana having lunch at the Gulfside Hotel. But after that, no one saw Diana again. She vanished without a trace. Later that evening, Diana's mother, Mildred, returned home and discovered a disturbing message on the answering machine. It was Diana. She was clearly frightened and screaming, "Help! Help! Let me out!" Then a struggle was heard, as if someone was trying to snatch the phone from her. And then a raspy voice of someone else was heard saying the phrase, "Hey, give me that!" After which the recording cut off. Detectives were never able to trace the phone call. Caller ID established that the call was made from a number belonging to a company called Starlight in the Odessa area. It turned out that within a 70-kilometer radius of the town, there were at least 6 companies with the name Starlight. However, none of them had a record of an outgoing call to Diana's mother's number. This was the first, almost mystical riddle. On April 15, around 4 p.m., a woman on her way to work discovered a severed tip of a human finger lying on the ground along Highway 19. The woman thought it was a prop for a prank, but that evening she told her boyfriend about it, and he called the police. Later, a print was taken from it, which matched Diana's fingerprint. A thorough search for other body parts was immediately launched in the Highway 19 area. But despite searching all suspicious places and dumpsters, nothing else was found. However, 2 weeks later, a bag containing Diana Augat's neatly folded clothes was discovered in the freezer of an ordinary grocery store in Odessa. This store was only 1.5 kilometers from Diana's old house. None of the store employees could explain how the bag got into the freezer. 2 years passed, during which no other evidence was found in the Diana Augat disappearance case. All this time, the woman's relatives did not stop trying to solve this riddle themselves. Diana's brother and his girlfriend decided to check the freezers of other similar stores in Odessa and the suburbs, and then in other neighboring towns. They had the idea that the criminal could have stashed Diana's things in different refrigerators. And so, in the year 2000, in the freezer of a store in Pasco, Florida, Diana's brother found a small fanny pack with the word Diana scratched on it. Inside lay women's cosmetics, including eyeliner, toothpaste, pink lipstick, and a bottle of perfume. Officially, it was never determined that these items belonged to Diana Augat. However, Diana's mother said they all looked like the ones she had seen with her daughter. It seemed strange that these things could lie in a freezer for 2 years without anyone finding them earlier. But nevertheless, this was accepted as new evidence. Soon after this, another witness testimony was suddenly discovered. An eyewitness claimed to have seen Diana Augat at the Coral Sands Motel on the same Highway 19. And he saw her on the same evening, April 14, when Diana's mother received the creepy voice message. When the police began investigating the motel owner, Gary Robert Evans, it turned out he had previously been accused of murdering a person during an argument. For a while, Evans became the first and only suspect in Diana's murder, but no other evidence was found against him, although the motel was thoroughly searched. And then it was discovered that 2 weeks before her disappearance, Diana Augat was denied her necessary medication, and her last supply ran out just the day before she left home. Perhaps the woman had a mental relapse, and that is why she began wandering aimlessly around the city, going into bars and hotels. However, how does this relate to her severed finger, her neatly folded clothes in the freezer, and her strange voice message? What do his messages mean? Could Diana have been killed, or was she kidnapped and her finger cut off for intimidation, but she might still be alive? There are still no answers to all these questions. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you do not miss new super interesting discussions. In the meantime, we suggest you watch our other videos.